Your perception of reality is destroying your confidence. Not your personality, not your skills, your perception. So the story your mind tells you before you even walk into the room. Because here's what most people never realize. Your brain is not showing you reality. It is showing you a version of reality that matches what you already believe about yourself. And once you start noticing that, everything begins to make sense. So think about this. Have you ever walked into a room already convinced that you are the least confident person there? That everyone else looks more comfortable, more social, more at ease than you? If that is the belief that you enter with, your brain will spend the entire time trying to prove it right. So you start noticing the tiny things. Someone did not look at you for long enough. Someone did not smile at you the way you expected. A group didn't open up their circle big enough. Someone looked slightly distracted when you spoke. None of these moments actually mean anything on their own, but to your brain, they become evidence, confirmation, proof that you are socially behind. Not because the evidence is real, but because your perception is motivated towards it. So your mind is looking for things that align with the story you already have about yourself. Now, I would do this all the time when I struggled with social anxiety. I would always believe that people didn't want me to be at that gathering, and all I would do was look for signs that confirmed this belief. So I would only see the people who maybe didn't come up to me and say hi right away, or someone who maybe didn't have the energy that I expected them to have when they actually came up, which would always make me feel less and less welcome and less confident. So here's a simple way to understand this. If I asked you right now whether you have seen any red cars today or not, you'll probably say something like, well, probably, but I don't remember any, because you weren't paying attention. But if I told you that tomorrow you'll get $50 for every red car you see, do you know what would happen? Well, you would suddenly see every single red car. Cars that always have been there, but now you're looking for them. So this is called motivated perception. So your brain notices what feels important to your current goals, beliefs, and fears. So if you walk around a room believing you are insecure, your mind starts scanning for anything that confirms it. And it filters out everything that contradicts it. So you miss the smiles, you miss the people who did look at you, you miss the nods, you miss every tiny sign of acceptance that you would have noticed if you believed something different about yourself. And that is what makes insecurity so powerful. It is not just a feeling, it becomes a lens, a filter that shapes your entire experience of the room. So you're not someone who's built to struggle socially, and you're definitely not the odd one out. What you're experiencing is a learned pattern, not a flaw in your personality. You're living inside a story your brain created to protect you. Because that is the other part most people never learn. A lot of insecurity starts as a self-protection strategy. So your brain tries to keep you safe from judgment, embarrassment, failure, all that kind of stuff without any possible danger. But it cannot tell the difference between imagined danger and real danger. So a room full of neutral faces feels threatening. A normal silence feels very awkward. A delayed reaction feels like rejection or judgment. In those moments, your body tightens. So your focus shrinks down to the smallest details, and the confidence that you may have at some point slips out of reach for a brief moment. Not because anything bad actually happened, but because your brain is preparing for something that has never even happened yet, and probably will not happen. And here's the good news. Just like negative perception gets, reinforced through repetition, positive perception can be built the exact same way. So your brain is always learning. It's always updating itself based on what you consistently pay attention to. So if you want to start rewiring your confidence, here's where you begin. Walk into the room looking for the positive. Now it sounds easier said than done, but look for the people who greet you. Look for the moment of warmth. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you think you're not funny and you make a joke. 10 people laugh and 10 people don't. If you're always walking around with a negative narrative about yourself, which is in this scenario, you think you're not funny, you will always be looking for signs that confirm this belief, even though they may not be true at all. So let's say you make this joke. 10 people laugh and 10 people don't. What you will only see is the negative side, which are the 10 people who didn't laugh at your joke. You'll completely miss out on the fact that 50% of everybody in that room did actually laugh at your joke, because you have such a negative narrative about yourself that you're only looking for those things. So the switch is trying to look for the positive instead. I know it's easier said than done, but this is a great way to actually start minimizing your insecurities and start building actual confidence. Because now you're not longer actually reinforcing the statement in your head that you are awkward or that you are less humorous than other beings. You are actually funny because you see the 10 people who laughed when you look for the positive, motivated perception instead. So negatively motivated perception is when you look for the negative. Positively is when you look for the positive to reinforce the confidence behaviors. When you try to reinforce that you are actually funny. Because 10 people did laugh. I know 10 people didn't, but we can't please everybody, right? The best comedians out there have people who do not like them. Because not all jokes are for everybody. So if you tell a joke, there will be people who will laugh at that joke. And you just gotta find those people to reinforce the statement that you are funny instead of you're not funny. So start looking for the nods when you speak. Look for the people who actually lean in or smile or respond to you. They've always been there. You've just never trained your mind to notice them. And when you actively look for those signals, something very interesting happens, as we've talked about. The whole room starts to feel different. Not because the room changed, it's still the same. Because your lens changed. So you stop looking for signals that something is about to go wrong, and instead you start actually noticing the people who feel open, warm, or safe to engage with. So your attention shifts toward connection rather than threat. And your confidence grows one small moment at a time. And you don't build this kind of confidence by pushing yourself to be louder or by performing extroversion or trying to be someone you're not. It doesn't feel real. Confidence grows from perception and repetition, from retraining your mind to stop attacking you, to stop assuming the worst, to stop ignoring all of the signs that you actually belong there. Because the moment your perception shifts, your behavior will follow naturally. So your voice becomes easier to use, your body settles into a more relaxed posture, your thoughts organize themselves, and the way you show up feels far more grounded. Nothing transformed your personality, you didn't change. You finally stopped fighting with a story that was never true from the beginning. So to make this stick, the shift is not becoming a different person. It is learning to see the world differently, learning to stop letting old fears decide what everything means. Because the moment you change what you look for, you change what you experience. And when you experience changes, your confidence follows naturally. As we said, nothing forced, nothing performed, just built. Quietly and steadily. So one interaction at a time. And that is the power of perception. Negatively motivated perception will keep reinforcing social anxiety and insecurity. Positively motivated perception will slowly build real confidence. So for example, with my story of how I would always look for the reinforcements, the proof that I was socially anxious, that I was insecure. I would always look for those things. But a massive change that happened for me was that I started to look for the positive instead. So for example, I've always been very insecure about my forehead. That is a very common thing. A lot of people are insecure about if they have a big nose, for example. So when I spoke to someone and they broke eye contact very briefly, maybe they looked up at my forehead, I would always start looking at that tiny half second where they looked at my forehead, and I would be thinking, oh crap, now they are looking at my massive forehead, thinking the same thing that I did. I have a big forehead. That's the only thing they're looking at right now. Oh, I would be so annoying, and I will always be confirming my beliefs from something that probably wasn't true. That person could be thinking about something completely different than you are, but you see it in one way, so you confirm your already existing insecurities through it. That person could probably have been thinking about something completely else. Maybe they are insecure about holding eye contact, so they just wanted to break it for a brief moment, to look away, relax a bit, and then look back at me. But I would see it as them thinking about my massive forehead, when in fact they probably weren't. So I would always create these non-existing beliefs, making them real for myself, just to confirm this old negative narrative that I had about myself. So instead I start looking at it differently. When someone breaks eye contact, well, I'll see it differently. I will think, well, maybe they just wanted to break eye contact because it's natural. We don't look at anyone's eyes for all eternity when we're speaking to them. Sometimes we look away, sometimes we do this. It's completely fine. Or let's say I would say something and maybe there was a delayed reaction. Maybe people didn't answer right away or laugh right away. Well, then I would see myself as awkward, as I said something bad or not anything funny. So I would always look at that situation and think, well, now they don't like me. They think I'm awkward. But in fact, maybe they just didn't get the joke until 2 seconds later. Sometimes it takes some time for the brain to actually process what you said. So you have to see that possibility instead of the only negative side, which can be that you're awkward or people don't like you or something like that. So the biggest shift that I did was actually starting to look for the positive in situations instead of the negative. And that is going to be how you actually build confidence. At least start with it because you're focusing on the positive. So that's it. If you like these type of videos, I post videos like this every single week, multiple times a week, helping you build confidence with mindset shifts and real practical techniques to build your actual communication skills. See you in the next video. Bye bye.